Okay, so in this video, I'm going to show you what I did today in terms of coding the enemy, in terms of the enemy's ability to detect the player if he's visible, if he's behind, just say a box, just say he's crouching, then he shouldn't be visible. So that's something that I figured out. Usually when I do these tutorials, I do all the scripting while I'm figuring things out, but this one was a little bit complicated. So what I did was I did the whole thing first. It took me pretty much all day to figure everything out, and I'm just going to show you everything that I did. So I'll just go ahead and play first, show you what's going on. So for this video, I'm just trying to achieve something very simple. I'm trying to make it so that if I'm behind him, just say I'm outside of the 45 degrees to the left or to the right, then he can't see me. But as soon as I'm within that range, then he sees me. Another thing that happens is if I crouch behind a box, then he can't see me anymore. Then he goes back to like a regular mode, like where he's just either standing there or doing whatever. So obviously I need to do more with this portion, but right now I was just trying to figure out how to toggle between the two. So when he sees me and when he doesn't, I'll walk all the way around here, and if I stand up again, he can't see me because I'm not within that viewing range. So if I go like this, he'll see me again. Oops, he sees me. He sees me again, and if I go a certain distance, as you can see, he goes back. So I think you get the point. But first I'll explain what I started off with. So basically, this is the enemy here, and I created an empty object. So his transform is at his very base, and I parented another empty at the base called look at player rotator. So this thing is constantly rotating to the player wherever he is. So that's what I use to calculate the angle between the player's location and his direction. So if it's less than 45 degrees on either side, then that means the player is detected. Another thing that I added that's parented to that rotator is another an empty object, and from here I use it to shoot a raycast. So as the rotator is rotating around, this look at box raycast, it's constantly pointing to wherever the player is, but as it's pointing to the player it's going to detect whether there's a box in front of the player. So with that said, I want to go into the script. So the very first thing that I did was first I created the enemy script, and I uh, plunked it onto the enemy. But then I went to the main character script, and I created a namespace for the main character script called namespace main character script. Add squiggly brackets, and then also close it with a squiggly bracket. And in the enemy script, I need to call it up, so I have to go using main character script, which is the name of the namespace. It has to be exact, and it's also case sensitive. So these are all the variables that I created. So rigid body, animator. I created 3 game objects for the player, the look at box raycast and to look at player rotator, which are these two objects that I just mentioned. A float for distance to player, a bool called box is visible, so it's true or false whether the box, if there's a box in the way of the raycast. Is the player in range? So a boolean player in range, bool player detected. And also for the main character script, the variable type is the name of the script, but I have to give it a different name within the script, so I called it main character script. And another boolean called player is crouching. So obviously you have to set these rigid bodies and animators in the start function, but once I'm done that, I'm using this line here to look at, to basically rotate this rotator constantly. So when this script is all compiled, I take these two and I dump them in here, and then the main character gets dumped in here. And look at player rotator, which is this, is constantly rotating. So look at player rotator dot transform dot look at new vector 3 player dot transform position dot x player transform position dot y player dot transform position dot z. The height of the rotator and the height of the enemy is the same. They're both at the base of the character, so that's why I can just use the player transform y. Otherwise I can just put in look at player rotator y. In this case it doesn't really matter because they're both the same, but I'll just go back to player for now. I need to calculate the distance to the player, and then I also need to do raycast coming out of the look at box raycast, and it's checking to see, it's coming out of here, there's a raycast coming out of here, it checks to see if there's any objects in the way. As it's pointing towards a character, in between the raycast and the player, it checks to see if there's any object with a tag called box. So I went in here and I pressed plus and I created a tag called box. So if it detects a box, then box is visible. So box visible is set to true. If not, then box visible is set to false. Also, with the main character script that I created here, I'm setting it to the player, which is here, get component main character. And from there, I'm setting this player is crouching boolean to is crouching from the main character script. So in the main character script, I have a boolean called is crouching, and it's constantly updating whatever the status is, whether it's true or false. And in order for this to work, this must be public. Otherwise, this enemy script can't read it. So I'm basically taking that boolean value of this and setting it to this. So with that done, I have a bunch of things going on here already. So first thing is I want to measure the angle between the enemy's direction and the rotator, which is constantly rotating to the player. So in order to do that, I need to get a vector 3 facing direction, which is the direction of the enemy, and from that facing direction, I need to calculate the facing angle. So this only gives me the direction, and this line here converts that facing direction to an angle, and this is the equation math f dot atan2 facing direction x facing direction z times math f dot rad2 deg. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. and I have to get another value, so vector 3 rotator direction, so whatever the direction of this rotator is at any moment. Look at player rotator.transform.forward, and from this value I'm calculating rotator facing angle. So the angle difference is the facing angle minus the rotator facing angle. So facing angle minus rotator facing angle. So here I'm checking to see if the angle difference is smaller or equal to 45 or greater or equal to minus 45. So I'm checking to see whether it's in that viewing range of the player. So if he's looking forward, then the player needs to be somewhere here in this field of view. If he's not, if its angle difference is greater than 45 or smaller than minus 45, then player in range is false. So player in range is either true or false. So I also made it so that everything has to be within, the player has to be within a distance of 20 from the enemy. If it's not, then player detected is going to be false. But if distance to player is smaller than 20, then it checks to see if the player is in range, whether it's within this 45 or negative 45 degree range. If it's not, then if player detected gets set to false. If it is within range, then it has to check two things: whether if there's a box visible, and if this player is crouching, which is basically this boolean that's set from the player script, this boolean. So there's four possibilities. If the player is crouching, so if player is crouching is true, but their box visible is false, that means he's crouching, but there's no box visible. That means he's in plain sight. That means player detected is true. If player crouching is true, if he's crouching, but the box is also visible, that means player is not detected. The enemy cannot possibly see the player. If player crouching is false, just say he's standing straight up, but a box is visible, well, it doesn't matter because he's not crouching, so player detected is going to be true. If player is crouching is false, meaning he's standing up, and there's no box, then player detected is going to be true. So if player detected is true, then animator setBool is aiming, so it goes to aiming, is set to true, and speed float is set float speed is 0, and he's constantly rotating. This piece of script here: transform, look at new vector 3, player transform position X, transform position Y, player transform position Z. So this is the player X and player Z, and I'm just using the enemy's position Y. Just to keep him, just to prevent him from going up and down, just in case like the player's on a different level. If player detected is false, then the speed is set to 0.5. For now, I can leave it to 0, but if I put it to 0.5, then it plays that walking animation that you saw earlier. And his aiming is set to false, so it bounces back. So he's not aiming anymore. So this is when player is not detected. So basically that's the gist of it. So I'll just play it once more, just to reiterate. So if I go like this, and I'm within that 45 degree range, you can see me, then he aims. as soon as I crouch, he can't see me anymore. Obviously, like I need to add more to the script so that as soon as he sees me, and then he doesn't, maybe he does something, maybe he runs towards me just to check or something. But I'm just basically doing this basic thing, true or false, player detected or not. So this is what it, like this entire script is what it takes in order to get to these two possibilities. So if I go around here, you can't see me. But as soon as I am in range, but it stops here for some reason. I don't know why. I need to fix that. But as soon as I go here, he's following me. As soon as I crouch, he can't see me. So basically, yeah, that's all I wanted to do for this video. I'm gonna obviously add more. So the following videos, I'm gonna expand on this. So let's just say he's visible, and then all of a sudden he's not visible. Then the enemy needs to go and check, maybe. Another thing that I need to add is a patrol system. I'm thinking of using a spline to have him patrol when the player is not detected. So that's going to be for future videos, but for now this is just the beginning. So hopefully that was helpful. Hopefully that was informative in some way. And yeah, and thanks for watching, and please be on the lookout for more videos.